to another edition of Words from Behind the Desk. I am Vakaira Fai, and I am so excited to be here today because we have an amazing show planned. Rania, how are you doing today?
Amazing.
Fantastic. Guys, if this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for joining us. If this is another time that you've joined us, or if you've joined us another time, thank you so much for tuning in again. We appreciate the love and support. If you haven't already, please make sure that you like us. That way we can show this video to more people. And if you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead and share it, because the algorithm picks up on everything and we can give our value to as many people as possible. So we appreciate it so much. Rania, I cannot believe that we are going to be talking to a judge today without being judged. This is like the highlight of my life right now.
Yeah, you're not going to be judged. That's true.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my gracious. Let's go ahead and do a little mini introduction. Everybody knows Rania Arwani of Arwani Law Firm. And of course, my name is Vakaira Fai. I am your social media marketing guru and all my other hats. But enough about me, because again, I'm crazy excited to be talking to a judge today without being judged. So let's go ahead and bring in our very special guest, Judge Mike Kraynick, Ninth Judicial Circuit Court Judge. Judge, oh my gracious, I lost you. All right, guys, so we are going to just wait for a second for the judge to come back in, because of course that would happen on a live, right? It just would make sense.
We lost the connection? Oh my God, okay.
Yes, oh, I see him coming right back in right now. Let's go ahead and see, and let's see here. Judge, we got you back. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity. A little technological difficulty here, but we're here now. That's what matters.
Of course. And you know, I feel like it wouldn't be a proper live unless something went wrong. So I'm glad that it went wrong in the beginning, because now it should be seamless, right? Exactly. Wi-Fi, right? Facebook? I don't know. Guys. We'll see. Judge, we are so excited to have you here. Again, I was telling Rania, I'm excited to be talking to a judge without being judged. So I have some questions for you, and I know Rania has some questions for you. But Judge, you have to promise not to judge us, okay?
I'm looking forward to it. It's this is gonna be a lot of fun. There will be no judgment during this meeting here, none at all.
Perfect, Judge. So my first question is, who is Judge Mike Kraynick? Who are you? Oh, of course. I know it.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
Sir?
You broke up like crazy.
Oh my goodness. Well, my first question was, who is Judge Mike Kraynick?
Well, to sum me up, I'm a judge, I'm a coach, and I'm an educator. I'm a third-generation Floridian. I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. Graduated from Florida State in my undergrad with degrees in...
Oh no, we lost him again. Gracious me, oh my.
What is happening?
You know what? He said that he was using the Wi-Fi hotspot, and those things mess up all the time. So I had a feeling we were going to have a kind of little bit of technical difficulties, but again, that's absolutely fine, because I don't mind taking over for him. I can tell you guys a little bit about Judge as we wait for him to come back. He has a beautiful wife, and he has two amazing little boys that are just adorable. And again, we will just wait right here until the judge is able to come back to us.
Yeah, don't you love the internet and the Wi-Fi? Now that we're working from home, it's getting kind of difficult to have a stable Wi-Fi connection. I don't know your experience, but my experience has not been so good lately.
No, not at all. But guys, please don't forget, this is a live. So if you have any questions or comments, we will be reading them throughout this live. If there's any questions that you have for a judge and you have the opportunity to ask right now. I don't know how many times you're just going to be having a casual conversation with the judge and you can ask them. So that's what we're here for. Let me see here. Oh, he has still not come back on. Rania, how are you doing at home right now?
I'm doing good. Not bad.
Yes.
With what? With what?
I want to know about Coco.
Coco, she's good. She's good.
Oh my gosh, I love my Coco. Oh, he just came back in, so we will go ahead and bring him back on. Hello, Judge again. How are you doing?
All right, I think I'm back.
Perfect. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I think it's on my end. That's okay. But we're back now. That's what matters.
Judge, go ahead and finish telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a third generation Floridian. I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. Went to Florida State for undergrad, graduated with degrees in finance and real estate, and then attended law school here in Barry University. I've called Central Florida my home for the last 15 years. I've been with my wife for over a decade. Her name is Tina. She's a school teacher. We got two boys under the age of 5. I have John, who's 4.5, and we're 2. I've been serving as a judge for the last 11 months and 2 days. Before that, I was a partner at a boutique law firm in Winter Park, Florida, specializing in business litigation and construction litigation. And I tried cases before judge and jury, argued in front of 2 out of the 5 appellate courts here in the state of Florida, and had a great practice that I wanted to give up because I wanted to serve. In addition to being a judge, I've been serving as a coach and an educator. Since 2008, after graduating from law school, I wanted to give back to their mock trial program. I was a member of their mock trial program for 2.5 years, and it had a great impact on me. And since 2008, I've been acting as a coach with that program. I've won 2 national championships and 1 state championship. And it's one of the most rewarding things ever is leading these kids and my students. I've been acting as an educator since 2012, running the mock trial program at the law school. And I teach a class every summer on the basics of trial advocacy.
That is so cool.
So, Judge, I went to Barry Law School. I went to Barry Law School too, and I loved it.
It was a great experience at Barry for 3 years. It was a lot of fun, a lot of lifelong friends, and I continue to be able to impact the students that are at that school by running the program. I have about 45 to 50 students in my program every year, and about a dozen lawyers who give their time, their energy, and their effort to come coach. And it's not just a weekend here or there. It's about a 40-hour-a-week commitment for 6 to 8 weeks to come coach. And it's just so rewarding to watch my students rise from lambs to lions and just be masters in the courtroom. When they start, they really don't know how to do any of that stuff. They don't know the evidence. They don't know procedure. They shake and they're nervous in front of speaking in front of people. And to see them rise from that to really zealous, awesome attorneys is just amazing. It's just, other than having my own kids, it's one of the most rewarding things out there.
Well, that is
I love that.
It's amazing. And giving back is teaching, coaching attorneys or prospective attorneys is amazing, because someone who has the experience like you do can put them right on the right path so they can learn it the right way. So, Judge Cranick, you were appointed by Governor DeSantis. Talk to us about the appointment process.
Well, the appointment process was one of the most arduous and difficult things that I went through. So it's a 4-step process. The first is filling out an application. The application is 41 pages long. And some of the questions, other than your background, your education, stuff like that, really dive into your experience. And one of the questions that still I remember to this day is, what were the most 6 impactful cases in your career and why? And they want to know every case that you went to trial on, the last 5 cases that went to trial, who were the parties on the other side, because they call those people. They want to know, what was it like dealing with the applicant through that litigation? The last 5 cases that you settled in mediation or otherwise settled before trial. They want to know all the players, all the attorneys in that case, and they want to call those people. You have to have 10 references to speak to your credentials, your qualifications. After you complete this application, which I spent probably 100 hours or more on working up, you go in front of an interview of a group of people called the Judicial Nominating Commission. It's a group of 8 lawyers and 1 public official or a member of the community, rather. And the members of the JNC, the Judicial Nominating Commission, are either selected by the governor.
Oh, we lost Judge Cranick.
We lost him again. What is going on today? Oh my gracious me, oh my. All right, guys, we will wait momentarily for the judge to return. Thank you again, guys, so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of the love and support. And he is coming back on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Sorry,
Judge.
my phone keeps kicking out. So the persons on the JNC, the persons on the Judicial Nominating Commission are picked by the governor, or they're picked by the Florida Bar, which is the organization that governs all lawyers in the state of Florida. You have a 15-minute interview with those persons. I was one of 24 people that had put in.
Wow.
After going through that initial interview with the JNC, I was one of 12 persons that were selected to go to the next level. The next level was an interview with the governor's general counsel. And there were 4 lawyers who work with the governor on a daily basis. And it was one of the hardest interviews of my entire life. Yeah. Very difficult legal hypotheticals on how I would handle certain issues that may or may not come before me, hypothetically. And what my rule of law would be and why, and really getting into my legal knowledge. After that interview was over, I got a phone call from the governor's secretary and said he wants to meet with you personally. And then I had about a 20-minute interview with the governor himself before I finally was told, yes, you are worthy. And Judge Madrigal and I were appointed on the same day. So it was a 4-tiered process that took months and months and months and months and hours and hours and hours of preparation to make it happen. I was just lucky enough to be one of 24 that made the cut and was ultimately chosen to serve.
It sounds like the American Idol of appointments. So you've got through it. You got to the highest point. That's amazing. How does it feel? Oh. And our judge is frozen momentarily.
You know what? Blame it on the coronavirus.
I mean, right now I'm blaming everything on the coronavirus.
We're working from home. Everyone is working remotely, kind of. Everyone is on the Wi-Fi. Like, I'm on the Wi-Fi.
Everyone is on Wi-Fi. Everyone is on Wi-Fi in the world right now.
And there is not
everyone.
Everyone, and not there isn't enough Wi-Fi for everybody.
That's actually a great idea. Maybe that's why we should get some more satellites up in space. I don't know, just a thought, people.
Okay.
Let me see if I can remove him and bring him back in to see. It would be my luck, though, that when the screen froze, my face would be really twisted. So the fact that his looks really good is really good. Gracious me, oh my, what is going on today? You're absolutely right. On a Wednesday, Rania, we may have to change the date of this because Wednesday at 2, everybody is online.
Probably.
Oh, he left. I think he is going to be coming back in momentarily.
Okay. Again, blame it on the coronavirus.
I say blame it. Let me see here. Well, guys, Judge is coming up for re-election right now. And so if you haven't already, please check out the website, keepmikekraynick.com, to see a little bit more information about him. Of course, we're going to still be having this live session with him, but until he comes back on, I just want to make sure you guys do check him out. I've had the honor of having amazing conversation with him, and he is the most genuine, authentic person that I've met. Not judge, because that would put him in a certain category, just a great human being. So if you haven't already, please do check out his website to keep him as the 9th Judicial Circuit Court Judge. Oh, mic drop. I don't have to say anything else for the rest of it. Bye, Rania.
Bye.
Oh, he just came back on. Hold on one second. And boom. Hello, Judge. We just finished plugging you. How are you doing?
I apologize. I just keep getting kicked off. Technology is a bane and a wonderful thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Rania said that she believes it's because everybody is online right now, and I agree.
It's true.
Oh, hold yourself in. I'm okay with that.
Which part were we on?
We were talking about, where did we start?
We were talking about the appointment process, and I said a little bit about your American Idol finales, and you got to the final judgment, which is crazy. Judges were judging you for you to become a judge. I love it.
Well, it wasn't judges. It was other attorneys in the community, and then the next level up in Tallahassee. So it was 8 attorneys and a community leader. The head of the Central Florida Urban League was the community leader when I went through the JNC, and then it was 4 lawyers in Tallahassee, and then ultimately the governor himself, who went to an Ivy League law school, went to Harvard Law and Yale undergrad. So he's a super intelligent guy who, again, asked me very difficult questions about how certain things would work as being a judge, and gave me these really complicated legal hypotheticals before giving me the green light to serve.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Just talks about your credentials, Judge. So my next question is, since your appointment, what type of cases have you presided over?
I'm currently in the Unified Family Division in Osceola County in the 9th Circuit, and I handle all matters pertaining to a family. So in the 9th Judicial Circuit, we have the concept of unified family. What that means is one family, one judge. So every instance pertaining to a particular family is always going to be in front of that particular judge. So right now I have over 2,400 cases of divorce, paternity, and domestic violence. Now, before I took the bench, I really didn't know anything about family law. I mean, I'd studied it in law school, but that was a long time ago. And I had to very quickly learn the law in the family law department and in the domestic violence department. Every 3 weeks, I have hearings for domestic violence. Year to date, I've had over 500 domestic violence hearings. And as you can imagine, with COVID and how it's impacted not just us locally, but in every facet, how it's affected us, domestic violence has been on the rise. So there's a lot more hearings and a lot more people and a lot more persons who are seeking protection against domestic violence because of everything that's happening in the world right now, with persons being furloughed, persons being fired, unable to go to work. And the angst is leading to more instances of violence in the home.
When the abuser is home with the victim, with the wife or the girlfriend, or I mean, it's bound to happen because they're home, one of them is not working, or both of them is not working, tensions rise, unfortunately, and it's horrible. But thank you for your service, but thank you for dealing with the domestic violence issues that we're facing nowadays. So Judge Cranick, a lot of people who end up going in front of a judge, they're anxious, they have anxiety, So describe to us Judge Cranick's courtroom spirit. What is the spirit in your courtroom like?
I think, a lot of the people that come before me don't have the financial ability to afford an attorney. So they're representing themselves. And that can be really scary when you're coming into a courtroom and you don't, the way it's set up, the judge sits way up here and you're down here. It can be intimidating. And I want to be able to have a serious environment, but also an environment of invitation and warmth, where you have the opportunity to tell your story. So if you're coming before me and you're a victim of domestic violence, I want you to be able to tell your story without any fear of prejudgment, without any fear that you're not going to be listened to. I mean, just a couple of months ago before COVID hit, I used to have 50 people in my courtroom for Domestic Violence Day. And there'd be on one side of the courtroom, everybody seeking protection, and the other side of the courtroom, everybody against whom protection was sought. And they're not allowed to look at each other. They're not allowed to talk to each other. I usually have one of my deputies standing in the middle to make sure they're not talking to each other. And then persons who have been abused have to come up and tell their story in front of everybody in the courtroom. So everybody who's waiting, me, my court staff, my deputies, and you want that environment to be seriousness, and it's not a joke time, but also warm and inviting, so that whoever it has been abused, regardless of the abuse, if it was sexual in nature or physical in nature, or maybe it could be stalking and it's just mental harassment causing someone substantial emotional distress, to have that environment where it's free and it's open and they have the opportunity to tell me their story completely without fear of being cut off, without fear of prejudgment, without fear of whatever background that is, whatever their race, creed, origin, anything, that they're going to be able to come to me and tell me their story. And at the end of the day, feel like they've gotten a fair opportunity to tell me that story.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's good.
I bet that's what all victims of domestic violence look for, being able to, appear before a judge where they can tell their story and see that they are being heard. Don't you agree with me, Bakai? I mean, that's what I think, not just domestic violence victims, any litigant. Us attorneys, we want to appear before you, judge, and be able to tell the stories of our clients. And I mean, that's what we look for, and that's just amazing. And thank you for doing that.
One of the things I like to do is when we had it back before COVID, and even now, when I have my domestic violence hearings, I explain to everybody what the ground rules are. And look, everybody's going to have an opportunity to tell me everything they'll want to tell me. Just don't interrupt each other. Promise you're going to have an opportunity to tell me everything that you want to tell me. And just kind of, relieve the parties. I mean, my domestic violence hearings right now are exactly how we're doing this. I mean, Ms. Arwani's in one room, and Bakai, you're in the other room, and we all kind of talk to each other through this medium. And that's how it works. So that's how we've been doing things, and that's probably how they're going to continue for the indefinite future. But you still want to have that environment, even if we're appearing through a computer screen to talk to each other, that there's that openness that comes with it, that you can tell your story freely.
Right.
Yes, and that brings me to the next question about COVID. So, Judge Cranick, how has the court responded to the coronavirus problem?
The Ninth Circuit specifically has been commended by the Florida Supreme Court on how we've handled still serving the public through this COVID pandemic. We're really blessed here in the Ninth Judicial Circuit to have phenomenal technological resources. We have the ability to have hearings through Microsoft Teams, through Zoom, through Cisco WebEx, all these different online platforms. For me, nothing's really changed. The first week, once we were given the shutdown order by the Florida Supreme Court, we really didn't know what we needed to be doing next. There was about a week of inaction. And then once we knew that we had all this technology and the Ninth spent more money in order to get all of us these licenses to use these products, it was right back to work. And we were able to have these hearings through these types of mediums.
Okay.
I love it. I'm so sorry. I love it because I'm a social media, and I know the Wi-Fi has been spotty today and we've been having kinks, and I can only imagine that happens sometimes in the courtroom as well, virtual court, but I love it. And I remember, I think Rania, I think it was you who was talking about this right here is a little bit different because you can see everybody's face. So my camera is directly on, or the camera is directly on my face, directly on your face, Rania, and Judge on yours as well. So when it comes to facial expressions, I have to, as the other party, have to try at least to stay stone faced. Is that what you've been seeing people adhere to?
Oh, we lost the judge for a second.
Well, I was talking. Judge, I didn't even notice you left because I was over here talking about courtroom, but I'm so glad that you're back. Rania, how have you kind of dealt with, or have people been mindful of what they look like in the camera since everybody is on the screen at the same time in their courtroom, their virtual courtroom?
Well, I've had clients where I had to kind of tell them, please be very careful. The judge can see you very clearly, not like when we are usually in the courtroom, at the courthouse.
Right.
So any action, any facial expression you make is gonna be amplified. So let's kind of.
It's right here.
How is your experience with that, Judge? Have you seen? I mean, when we're conducting virtual hearings, you actually see the litigants face to face. They're way closer than what they would, usually are.
Well, I mean, in the courtroom, you're still able to observe the witnesses and watch how they react to certain things, and that helps me as a judge determine their credibility and their believability. With these types of hearings,
one of the things that I've noticed is it's not quite as serious because you're not in the courtroom. So that level of walking up to the witness stand, it's to an extent a little bit more, not carefree, but you're certainly in your own environment. So if a witness may be fabricating something or may not be entirely truthful, it may be a little bit easier them to tell that fabrication because they're home, they're in their own environment. They're not in an environment where, written on the walls or we're here to seek the truth and uphold the law. And it may be a little bit different. Luckily, my experiences have been pretty good through the virtual setting and having hearings. We're still able to hear from everyone. The lawyers have done a phenomenal job in adjusting to what is the new normal with having hearings, over video conferencing. And I really commend the legal community for buying in to this new way of practicing law based on the COVID pandemic.
So what tips would you give litigants and attorneys on conducting or appearing before you in a remote kind of setting?
Kind of like what we've been going through this live broadcast with me coming and going due to technology.
Exactly.
Is patience. We're gonna have technological hiccups. It's gonna happen, and just you lose your witness, you lose your client because they're home and you're at your home or your office, and just taking a breath, realizing that everyone's in the same boat, in trying to work our way through this. So just to take a breath and to have that patience, because it's different. It's not quite the same. Again, I commend the lawyers on how they've been able to adapt to this. The lawyers who appear before me have just done a great job in navigating through this new way of doing things, getting me their exhibits before the hearing so that I've got paper copies with me at the hearing. So when they move, they send me a binder that's 1.5 inches thick with 150 pages in it or whatnot. They can say, Judge, what is in your binder is tabbed as 16. We're going to move that in as petitioners 1. And it just makes it a lot. It's not the same as being in the courtroom, but everyone has rise and overcome these issues to make it close to that. So we're still able to receive evidence, get it into the court record, and still have that opportunity to tell your story as well.
That's awesome.
So, Judge, before we went live, we were talking about the Orange County and Osceola County going back to phase 1 restrictions.
Yes. So due to the rise in infections with COVID here in the Central Florida area, the courthouse now is back to phase 1. So it's going to be limited access into the courthouse for us who are in the family law realm, like yourself, Ms. Arwani, and your compatriots and as family law lawyers. Nothing really is going to change for us. Everything will still continue to be done virtually. We'll still have virtual trials, virtual hearings, and everything else. But unfortunately, under the CDC guidelines, things have changed. We're back to phase 1 again now, and we just have to take it one day at a time in navigating through this. We're all in this together. I mean, the court system hasn't really, in a sense, we haven't shut down. We haven't stopped working. There's just been restrictive access to come to the courthouse.
So talking about restrictive access, and going to the, getting to hearings in the courthouse, are you excited for at some point in the future to get back to the courtroom?
Well, I never really left. So I've got 2 boys at home. I have a 4.5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Working from home is awesome. There's lots of benefits to it. But, they know how to open doors. So they will come find me and ask me to play with them in the middle of a hearing. And I'm like, I love you, but I got to finish this, okay? Can I see you in a little bit? My wife will run in because she works too. She's a Florida virtual school teacher. She'll run in and try to grab them and get them out of there. So it's certainly
dragging them by their leg.
Exactly. I mean, it's certainly a blessing to be able to have that opportunity to work from home. But I prefer working at the courthouse because I can get more done here than I can at home. Being able to hear from parties and have everything available to me right there at the courthouse. So am I excited to get back? I never really left. What I am excited and looking forward to is having people back in my courtroom. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Coming out and seeing a full house, if you will, and having everybody there and having that human interaction again. That I miss. Because it's not quite the same having it over this through Facebook Live or Microsoft Teams or Zoom or what have you. It's still some interaction, but it's just not quite the same.
It's not. It's not. Well, we are excited to at some point be able to come back in front of you, Judge. That's going to be amazing. So,
Seriously. So I guess when it comes to, do you prefer in-person or virtual? You're an in-person touch, feel, see, connect with kind of person.
I think you have to be because so much of what you're doing is perceiving. So much of what you're doing is trying to look at the person and figuring out their truthfulness and their credibility. And a lot of the stuff's on paper and black and white. What's in writing is true. But the real struggle, the real issue for a judge is to judge and to rule.
Right.
And in order to do that, you have to have that ability to perceive and understand and determine truth versus lie, or a fib versus a true story, and make those difficult decisions. And in family law, we're not talking about a breach of contract. We're talking about children and families, and sometimes it's very serious abuse that's happening with those families or with those children. And it's taking all that evidence and making the right decision as best you can for that child or for those children or for that family, and try to get them on the road to success moving forward. No one comes to court to have fun. No one comes to court. Lawyers would, because that was our job. That was my job. My job was to go to court to fight for that client's cause.
Right.
But no one really wants to go to court. And it's a scary time. It's a difficult time. You're not going to court because it's a good day. You're going, unless you're doing an adoption or you're getting married.
yes.
Then it's good. But in family law, if you're coming to court, it's because there's an allegation of domestic violence, you're getting divorced, or it's a paternity case and you're a dad and you want to have the opportunity to see your child, or you're a mom and dad has never been involved in the child's life and you need him involved in that child's life. So it's difficult, it's emotional, it's super rewarding. I would not trade it for the world. But it's all those things wrapped up into one, which makes it the most challenging, most important, most engaging job that I think one could ever have.
Wow.
I totally agree.
Wow. That's incredible. Let's see here. So I have to ask you, Judge, and this may be a little off the wall question, but since I have the opportunity to ask you, I'm going to ask you. Is that okay?
Yeah, fire away.
Fantastic. Judge, do you put your pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us?
Surprisingly, yes, I do. So I am no different than anybody else. My son's a
Well,
little
I'm
confused.
sweating bullets over here because I'm talking to the 9th Judicial Circuit Court judge right now.
Don't be. I mean, nothing bad's going to happen during this little meeting that we've got here. So there's nothing to worry about. No one's getting in trouble. No one's getting judged today. But the only confusing thing I had to explain to my son was when I put on the robe for the first time in public when we had the investiture ceremony. Even though I'd been serving as a judge for a couple of weeks before that, the investiture ceremony is the public ceremony where I become a judge. And I take the oath to uphold the laws of the state of Florida and the Constitution. And I put on my robe. And I remember when it was over, my son looked at me. He's like, "Daddy, why are you wearing a dress?" And I had to explain to him that, no, it's a robe. And this is what it means. This is why we wear one. And he kind of looked at you like when your dog looks at you when you're confused, kind of like tilts his head.
Like
to
the
side
little
and
tilt.
like, what? So, but other than that, I'm no different than anybody else. I put my pants on the same way everybody else does. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. And that's why it's awesome to have the lawyers that we have here in the 9th, who are prepared, who can help me do my job. You know, when they come to me with the cases or the statutes and say, well, Judge, this is the issue that we're here before you on, and here's the case law to support our position, it makes my life great, because then I can trust those lawyers that they're going to lead me down the right path when I make a decision.
That's incredible.
And that's what we strive for.
You strive to find the truth, make the right decision, and follow the law. And unfortunately, sometimes the right decision doesn't always mean what the law says. And sometimes that's hard. I've had to write many judgments already where I was not happy with the judgment that I was rendering. I wasn't happy in the sense that the law wouldn't let me do something else.
Yes.
And there's a quote out there about a judge where if you go home every day and you feel that you've done the right thing, then sometimes, I'm butchering the quote, forgive me, but you can't go home every day and feel like you've done something right when you're following the law all the time. And sometimes the law doesn't let me do certain things that I want to do. And it's hard. It's hard to look at somebody and say, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to help you today. I can't, because this is what the law says and I have to follow it. And it's hard explaining that sometimes to the individuals who are pro se's or the lawyers. It's hard to say, hey, look, I understand your argument. I understand what you're telling me. I'm just not allowed to help you. I can't. The law won't let me. And those are difficult days when that happens.
That's part of being a judge, is following the law regardless of how you feel about a certain case. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
And if we become the land of do whatever you want as a judge, then the laws don't mean anything and the statutes don't mean anything. There were really smart legislatures who put that stuff together. And it's not my job to say, oh, well, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it. The law's there, and my oath is my oath, which is uphold that law. Even if I don't like it, I've got to follow it. It's for another day, another person, another branch of our three-party system here in the United States to handle a change, and it can't be me.
So, Judge, talk to us about, we talked about you going surfing, going down to, the Keys and taking pictures.
Underwater photography. How did you get into that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So to just give a little bit of backstory. So when my wife and I first started dating, she was a certified scuba diver. And we kind of talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'd love to get into that. That'd be awesome. So for a birthday, like a decade ago, she surprised me with the class. So she paid for my class. I went and got open water certified, which means you can dive to either 60 feet or 80 feet. And then we both got advanced open water certified. So you can dive down to 150 feet and use different oxygen mix. So instead of being on compressed air, you could be on something called nitrox, which is oxygen-enriched air. I'm going to nerd out for a second. So the normal
I love it.
The normal air that you're breathing right now is 28% oxygen. And when you go down in the water, there's all this pressure that gets put on your body. So what they do is they put tanks called nitrox. It's actually oxygen-enriched air. So it has a higher percentage of oxygen in it. And the U.S. Navy figured out all these dive tables back 30, 40 years ago with the amount of oxygen you could have in your system to a certain depth. So the deepest dive we did is we bottomed out at like 140 feet in the Keys in a wreck. And we were at like 32, 33% oxygen in our tanks. And that allowed us to stay down there a little bit longer than you would if you were on regular oxygen. But what got me into it is I wanted to do some spearfishing. And my wife is terrified of sharks in the water. And the thought of, a freshly caught fish on the end of a spear, blood in the water, how that works. So in order to still remember our dives, I started getting into underwater photography. I bought one of those disposable cameras, like, you take with your kids to the beach. And we developed the film, and I wasn't really happy with it. It wasn't bright enough. It was all blue. So I did some homework, and I found a company in Hawaii that makes underwater cameras. So I had a camera, the housing, a slave flash, and I could go down on a half-hour, 40-minute dive at like 40, 50
Wow.
feet and just shoot a couple hundred pictures. And I had Photoshop, I could bring out the reds, and it was just a lot of fun to be able to do that, preserve the memory of those dives, get some really great shots of some underwater photography, some underwater fish, some sunken boats, whatever it may be.
What?
And then we had kids, and we haven't really been back out since. So,
And then COVID happened, and it doesn't seem like you're going back anytime soon.
yeah, exactly, pretty much.
Oh my goodness. That is so cool. I love that your wife is the one who got you into scuba diving. And then photography is just something you picked up along the way, which shows your creative side also, which I think being a judge, having a creative spirit to you is helpful. And I think it shows just how diverse you are as a judge. So I think that's so, so cool. And then, Judge, I have another question for you. If there was one thing that you could tell anyone aspiring to become a judge, what would it be?
What would I tell someone aspiring to be a judge? Be prepared to really work hard. That there's just no substitute for hard work. Preparation is key. If you want to be a judge, prepare. Be kind to everyone. Be nice to everyone. Don't hold grudges, and take every case on a individual basis. That everything that comes before you is its own separate, specific, unique critter, and you have to treat it that way. The moment you come in and say, "Oh, I've seen this before. I know what this is," well, you don't, because it's different. Every case is different. Every family is different. Every issue is different. And I think that would be the advice that I would give: is be prepared, be ready to listen, and be kind.
I think that is great advice all around, not even just for somebody becoming a judge. I think that was such great life advice. I appreciate you giving us that nugget so much, because that hit home for me. You spent 350 plus hours preparing just for a 15-minute interview. It says a lot of how you prepare. And so if that's the type of preparation it takes to take on life, I thank you. We really appreciate your time today, Judge.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great afternoon.
I have one last question, Judge, because as an attorney,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have always asked way many questions than I should. I've been known to beat a dead horse. Anyway, Judge, what would you tell our voters? Like, what message do you have for the voters?
Sure. So I'm going to be up on the ballot this August. On August 18th is the last day to vote. And if you're going to vote for me, and it's important to vote for persons who are in the judiciary. And as a member of the judiciary, my commitment is to give everybody full and fair opportunity to tell their story, to follow the law, and to give you a prompt ruling, a quick ruling. It may not be the next day. It may take me a couple of weeks to figure everything out to get it to you. But right now, in this period of our life that we're in with COVID and the pandemic and the backlog of cases, we've not had a jury trial in the state of Florida since the beginning of March. And who knows when those jury trials are actually going to start again. It's critical for the public that we have experienced, knowledgeable, hardworking judges to take care of their needs and to take care of the needs of the public. So I have that experience. I have almost 12 years experience as an attorney, almost a year experience as a judge. It's important that that community has those experienced judges who have the knowledge, the training, the patience, the ability to listen, the ability to follow the law on the bench to be able to serve their needs now and going forward. So if there's anything I could ask of anyone who's watching this today, is to exercise that constitutional right to vote in August, and to vote to keep Judge Mike Kraynick on the bench so that he can continue to serve you, great lawyers here, and everyone else for a good long period of time to come.
Judge Cranick, you definitely have our support, and we wish you luck, and we hope you stay there until you retire at some point.
Exactly. That was such a great mic drop moment also, Judge.
Do what now? I'm sorry?
I said that was such a great mic drop moment also. Oh, Mike, drop the mic. Oh, that was perfect, Judge.
This is
It was a great way.
Absolutely.
Guys, please, if you are seeking more information at all, make sure you visit keepjudgecranick.com to see about how you can get involved in his campaign, how to vote this election. It's an extremely important election. As we've seen, this is our local, this is our county, this is our city. It's important to get out there and vote, guys. It's what we need to do right now in order to be effective in our county. Judge, I really, really appreciate you being on today. I got to ask a judge many non-judgmental questions. As always, thank you guys so much for joining us on Words from Behind the Desk. If you have any questions or comments, you can always email us at manager@arwanilawfirm.com. And again, we will be back here next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. for another very special interview. And we hope you guys have a wonderful day and a little bit better Wi-Fi scenarios than we had today.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Be safe out there. Vakai, Ms. Arwani, thank you all much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you so much, Judge.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.